Have you ever felt like you're walking on eggshells around your partner? Like no matter what you do, it's never quite enough? Or maybe you've noticed that conversations always seem to circle back to them, leaving you feeling invisible and unheard? If any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Today, we're going to talk about something that affects more relationships than you might think: dating a narcissist. And before we dive in, I want to be clear. This isn't about throwing around labels or diagnosing anyone. It's about recognizing patterns that can help you understand your relationship better and make informed decisions about your emotional well-being. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's explore 6 key signs that might indicate you're in a relationship with someone who has narcissistic tendencies. Trust me, understanding these patterns could be the first step toward reclaiming your sense of self. Sign number 1. They love bomb you. Early on. Let's start with something that might seem counterintuitive: excessive charm and attention in the beginning. I know. It sounds like a good thing, right? Who doesn't want to feel adored and special? But here's the thing about love bombing. It's like being offered a 5-course gourmet meal when you're starving. It feels amazing in the moment, but there's often a catch. Love bombing typically looks like this. They shower you with compliments, gifts, and attention that feels almost too good to be true. They might tell you they've never met anyone like you, that you're their soulmate, or that they can't imagine life without you. And we're talking about week 2 of dating here. Think about it this way. Healthy relationships usually build gradually, like constructing a house. You lay the foundation first, then build the walls, then add the roof. But love bombing is like someone showing up with a fully furnished mansion on day 1 and handing you the keys. It's overwhelming, it's intense, and it often doesn't have the solid foundation needed to last. The reason narcissists love bomb is simple. It works. It makes you feel incredibly special and creates an emotional high that's hard to replicate. But here's what's really happening. They're creating an artificial baseline for the relationship. Once you're hooked on that level of attention and adoration, they can use the threat of taking it away to control your behavior. Sarah, a friend of mine, described it perfectly. She said, "It was like he turned me into his personal project. I was the most beautiful, smartest, most amazing person he'd ever met, until I wasn't." So if someone seems to be putting you on a pedestal unreasonably quickly, take a step back and ask yourself, is this genuine appreciation, or does it feel performative? Healthy admiration grows over time as someone gets to know the real you, not just the version of you they've created in their head. Sign number 2. Everything is always about them. Now let's talk about conversations. In healthy relationships, dialogue flows back and forth like a tennis match. You share something, they respond and share something back. You build on each other's thoughts. It's collaborative and balanced. But if you're dating a narcissist, conversations often feel more like attending their personal TED Talk. Every story you tell somehow becomes a launching pad for their story. Every achievement you share gets overshadowed by their bigger, better achievement. Every problem you have either gets minimized or becomes about how it affects them. Here's a real example. You come home excited because you got a promotion at work. Instead of celebrating with you, they immediately start talking about how they should have gotten a promotion years ago, or how your success reminds them of their own career struggles. Suddenly, your good news has become their therapy session. Or maybe you're going through a tough time with your family. You try to open up about it, but somehow the conversation shifts to their family drama, their childhood, or how your situation is triggering their own past experiences. Your feelings become secondary to their need to be the center of attention. This pattern is exhausting because it leaves you feeling invisible. You start to question whether your thoughts, feelings, and experiences actually matter. You might even find yourself staying quiet about good news because you know it'll get hijacked, or avoiding sharing problems because they'll somehow make it worse. The key thing to watch for is reciprocity. Healthy partners ask follow-up questions about your life. They remember details from previous conversations. They show genuine curiosity about your inner world, not just how it relates to theirs. If you find yourself constantly being the audience instead of a participant in your own relationship, that's a red flag worth paying attention to. Sign number 3, they can't handle criticism or feedback. This one is huge, and it's something that might not become apparent until you've been together for a while. At first, you might not have any reason to offer feedback or constructive criticism, but as relationships deepen, these moments naturally arise. Maybe you gently mention that they interrupted you during dinner with friends, or perhaps you expressed that you felt hurt when they canceled your date last minute. In a healthy relationship, your partner would listen, maybe apologize, and try to understand your perspective. But narcissists often respond to even gentle feedback like you've just declared war. They might get defensive, angry, or turn the situation around to make you the problem. Instead of, "I'm sorry I interrupted you," you might hear, "You're being too sensitive," or, "I wasn't interrupting, I was just trying to add to the conversation." Sometimes they'll use what's called deflection. Instead of addressing your concern, they'll bring up something completely unrelated that you did wrong. "Oh, so I interrupted you? Well, what about last week when you were late to my work party?" The most challenging part about this sign is that it makes you question your own perceptions. You start second-guessing whether your feelings are valid, whether you're being too sensitive, or whether you even have the right to express dissatisfaction. I remember talking to a woman who said she stopped bringing up issues altogether because every conversation turned into a 3-hour argument where she somehow ended up apologizing for things she didn't even do. That's not normal, and it's not healthy. In good relationships, both people can say, "You know what, you're right, I could have handled that better," without it being the end of the world. They can sit with temporary discomfort for the sake of improving the relationship. If your partner consistently cannot do this, it might be less about you being difficult and more about their inability to handle anything that challenges their self-image. Sign number 4, they lack genuine empathy. Empathy is like emotional GPS. It helps us navigate relationships by understanding and responding to other people's feelings. Most people have this built-in system that lights up when they see someone they care about in distress. But narcissists often have what I like to call selective empathy. They might seem incredibly caring and understanding in certain situations, especially when it makes them look good or when they need something from you. But when you really need emotional support, they often come up short. Here's what this looks like in practice. You've had a terrible day. Maybe you lost a pet, got difficult news about a family member, or you're just feeling overwhelmed with life. You reach out to your partner, hoping for comfort and understanding. Instead of offering genuine support, they might rush to fix the problem without acknowledging your emotions. Make it about themselves. "This reminds me of when I lost my dog." Minimize your feelings. "At least it's not as bad as what happened to me." Get uncomfortable and change the subject. Show impatience with your emotional state. The difference between someone who struggles with empathy and someone who's just having a bad day is consistency. We all have moments where we're not as emotionally available as we could be. But narcissists show a pattern of being unable or unwilling to sit with other people's pain without making it about themselves. Real empathy looks like someone who can hold space for your emotions without needing to fix them, one-up them, or rush you through them. It's someone who can say, "That sounds really hard. Tell me more about how you're feeling," and actually mean it. If you find yourself feeling emotionally lonely even when you're with your partner, or if you've stopped sharing vulnerable moments because they consistently respond in ways that leave you feeling worse, this might be why. Sign number 5, they use manipulation tactics. This is where things get more serious, and I want to approach this topic carefully because manipulation can be subtle and confusing, especially when it's coming from someone you care about. Manipulation in relationships often starts small and builds over time. It might begin with little things that make you question your memory or judgment. "I never said that," when you're pretty sure they did. You're remembering it wrong, when you're confident about what happened. One common tactic is called triangulation. This is when they bring other people into your relationship conflicts, either real or imaginary. "My ex would never have gotten upset about this." "My mom thinks you're being unreasonable." "Everyone at work agrees with me." Suddenly, instead of working through a disagreement between two people, you feel like you're up against an entire jury. Another manipulation tactic is emotional blackmail. This might sound like, "If you really loved me, you would," or "I guess I'll just never be good enough for you." They use your feelings for them as a weapon to get what they want. Then there's the silent treatment. Instead of talking through problems, they shut down completely, leaving you to wonder what you did wrong and how to fix it. This creates a dynamic where you're constantly trying to earn your way back into their good graces, even when you didn't do anything wrong. Perhaps the most damaging manipulation tactic is gaslighting, making you question your own reality, memory, or perceptions. Over time, this can seriously erode your confidence in your own judgment. The important thing to remember is that healthy relationships don't require these tactics. Disagreements happen, but they get worked out through honest communication, not psychological games. If you find yourself constantly confused about reality, walking on eggshells, or feeling like you need to earn basic respect and kindness, these might be signs that manipulation is at play. Sign number 6. You've lost yourself in the relationship. This last sign is often the cumulative effect of all the others, and it might be the most important one to recognize. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you gradually start to lose touch with who you are outside of that relationship. Maybe you used to have strong opinions about movies, politics, or where to go for dinner, but over time you've learned it's easier to just go along with what they want. Maybe you used to have hobbies, friends, or interests that brought you joy, but somehow those have fallen by the wayside, either because they didn't approve or because all your energy goes into managing the relationship. This happens so gradually that you might not notice it at first. It's like gaining weight. You don't see it day by day, but one morning you look in the mirror and think, when did this happen? You might find yourself constantly second-guessing your own thoughts and feelings, feeling anxious about expressing your true opinions, losing touch with friends and family, giving up activities you used to love, feeling like you're performing a version of yourself rather than being authentic, experiencing a general sense of emptiness or confusion about who you are. I once heard someone describe it as feeling like they were slowly disappearing, becoming more of a supporting character in someone else's story rather than the main character in their own life. The particularly tricky thing about this sign is that narcissists often encourage this loss of self because it makes you more dependent on them. They might frame it as love. I love spending so much time together that we don't need other people. Or, you don't need those friends. They don't really understand you like I do. But healthy love actually encourages you to be more yourself, not less. A good partner wants you to have your own interests, friendships, and opinions. They're secure enough in the relationship that they don't need you to shrink yourself to make them feel bigger. If you've been reading this and thinking, oh wow, that's exactly how I feel, please know that this recognition is actually the first step toward reclaiming yourself. You haven't lost who you are permanently. That person is still in there, maybe just buried under months or years of adapting to someone else's needs. So there you have it. 6 signs that might indicate you're in a relationship with someone who has narcissistic tendencies. Love bombing followed by emotional withdrawal, making everything about themselves, inability to handle feedback, lack of genuine empathy, manipulation tactics, and the gradual loss of your authentic self. Now, I want to be really clear about something. Recognizing these signs doesn't mean you should immediately break up with someone or assume the worst about your relationship. Human behavior is complex, and we all have moments where we might display some of these traits, especially when we're stressed, insecure, or going through difficult times. The key is looking at patterns over time. Is this how your partner consistently behaves, or are these occasional lapses during challenging periods? Are they willing to acknowledge problematic behavior and work on changing it, or do they deny, deflect, and double down? Most importantly, how do you feel in this relationship? Do you feel seen, heard, valued, and free to be yourself? Or do you feel anxious, confused, diminished, and like you're constantly trying to earn love that should be freely given? Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Your feelings are valid, your needs matter, and you deserve to be in a relationship where you can flourish as your authentic self. If you recognize yourself in what we've talked about today, please know that there are resources and people who can help. Consider talking to a therapist, a trusted friend, or calling a relationship helpline. You don't have to figure this out alone. And remember, understanding these patterns isn't about blame or shame, it's about awareness and empowerment. The more you understand about unhealthy relationship dynamics, the better equipped you are to create healthy ones. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you experienced any of these signs in your relationships? What helped you recognize unhealthy patterns? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this video was helpful, consider subscribing for more content about relationships, mental health, and personal growth. Together, we can all learn to build healthier, more fulfilling connections with others. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember, you deserve love that lifts you up, not tears you down.